It's like, when you do a public offer, there's a price you pay. You pay that price, and then you get the license. You are allocated some shares, and that is it. You see it on the stock exchange. And with that, the exchange will develop. Then whatever transaction you do, you pay the fees. Those ones are fee-based transactions. But the membership due, you will pay that at the beginning before you start trading.
But who does that money go to?
It goes to the stock exchange, and it's supposed to go into an account.
A separate account?
Yeah.
Bank account?
An investment account. But you see,
is that account audited?
It's audited.
Every year?
Yeah. It's supposed to be every year, but I'm not sure what happened in the last 1 year. I think the last audited account should be 2008.
But how much is there?
I don't know. I have not checked again.
But how many brokerage firms are on the marketplace? About 300?
I'm not sure it's up to. When you talk of, it's around 250, 270.
Active stockbrokers.
Well,
both
stockbrokerage firms, whether active or not.
So all of you now want to be represented in that. It's your institute. You're working with other association of stockbrokers as well.
As you know, the institute gave back to the association of stockbrokers.
Exactly.
Yeah. So we decided that, look, there has to be a trade group, different from a professional group that's self-regulatory. And that trade group should be able to represent the firms. I said, look, this is what we want. And that's why we work together. We make sure that, look, whatever affects our members, or whatever affects the firms, is going to affect our members, as the individual members of the institute. And therefore, we must protect their welfare. We must be sure that the firm they are working in is healthy and properly recognized by the exchange and the authorities, and so that our members can perform very well. Because each time you suspend the firm, for instance, it affects our members. How? We cannot trade. We can't. That means the firm is not allowed to trade, so the broker cannot go on the floor and trade. And then what will you do? You suspend from capital market activities. That is the end for that firm for some time. And during that period, who pays the bills? So it affects the welfare of our staff, of our members. And we don't want that kind of thing to continue to happen.
This is not the first time that you stockbrokers will be angling for a fair, a better share, to use those languages. It happened before, isn't it? Yeah. And you are now the president of the CIS, so you've traveled this route has been traveled before. You are a member back then. You are part of the executive of the CIS. Now that this is what is going to change this time. What is new in this new engagement, if you want to put it that way, with both the SEC and this new management at the exchange?
What we are working on now is to see that, look, the new memats that will come out of the exchange,
but the new memorandum and article of association of the Nigerian Stock Exchange
that will come out that's going to go before the council, must take into account this interest of stock brokerage firms as the owners of the market and the stock exchange. They must look at that and see how they can be adequately taken care of, like it's done in other jurisdictions.
How much percentage would you stockbrokers want?
If you give us the chance, we take all, but we won't take all.
You would like to be 100%.
We would like to be 100%.
What if one big money bag comes in and says, I want 50%?
A big money bag cannot take it because it's not his business.
Really?
It's not. It's not the owner. It's not a business venture. Stock exchange should not be seen as a business venture where you make millions of money. It's not in real time.
But you want it for power.
For which power?
Political power, influence.
That's why you find that there's no exchange where there's a permanent president. There's none. Or a permanent chairman. There's none. Because we have to think about the entire public. Part right is owned by people, but it's a public interest company. Even if it's a PLC, it's a public interest company, not like a company that is out for profit. Because you are providing a service that is very unique. And therefore, people with honor and integrity, not just people with money, will be the people who will be in charge of the exchange.
So, the SEC, the Securities and Exchange Commission, says we're going to oversee this demutualization. We want to be sure it's transparent and fair to everyone. You agree with that?
To some extent. I really don't know how they're going to ensure that it's fair to everyone. Because it's not a national cake. You see, it's a stock exchange. Yes, public interest because people bring in money. It's okay. Let me take the bank situation. How does CBN ensure that the ownership of a bank is honest and transparent? How does it ensure? It's only after the event you now bring the people, say these are the directors of this company. Say CBN can say, oh, based on the information we have about these people, this person cannot be, this person cannot be. But not the composition of that company. CBN lays the guidelines and say, look, you want to have a bank, this is the minimum capital you can get. In that case, and in the way they have done it, even somebody can bring 100% in those, like they allow the foreigners to do. You bring 100% capital, you own the bank, like what do you call them? Citibank and Standard Chartered. They are owned by foreigners 100%, unless they want Nigerians to come in. But CBN doesn't say don't own it. So if SEC is going to say Nigerian Stock Exchange should be owned in a transparent manner, the question is how?
The central bank, for example, set limit for directors, setting guidelines and say, look, state governments can't own more up to 10% in the bank. Certain individuals can't own XY amount. So how do you think can that be sought out in this case of the stock exchange?
Let's SEC can decide and tell us that, and then let's all look at it together, not impose. Because as of now, what are you going to do with the over 250 stockbrokers who own majority of the shares of the company, of the stock exchange? As a cooperative, more or less a mutual organization, what are you going to do with that? You can't ignore that. Are you going to say, okay, you put all together and say you give them 50%? No. Because this is, you see, unlike all others, unlike all other shareholders of the stock exchange, these are the people who make a living from this place, the stockbrokers. All they do and live for is in that place. So if their future is going to be secure, they must have a say in how that place is composed.
So you don't support 60% for the public?
60 for what?
Are you scared of that number?
I'm not scared of the number, but what for? No, what
about 60 as if, hold on a minute. That looks like robbery.
It is.
Oh, it is?
It is. Can you imagine if the stockbrokers had not kept the NSC going all these years?
50 years.
We'll be talking of 60. If it wasn't okay, people won't be interested in it. It's because people have suffered, sacrificed to bring it to this level that it becomes an attractive bride. So, okay, yeah, there's something good.